Welcome back to another episode of Delusions of Automotive Grandeur. On today's episode, the gang is finally back together. Steven talks about Lordstown Motors, and Brent talks about the cars seen at the gas station in Los Angeles. Strap in. It's time for DAG Show.
They're all like that.
This looks darker than it actually is.
No, that checks out. That checks out from
That's
what
I need. That's what I need is more hair on my chest. Yeah, this is the official beer of Fiesta ST owners. Perfectly aligns with our confident sense of masculinity.
This is some good bloopers right here.
I'm gonna mute myself.
Wait a minute, he's been recording. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I am not 1/8 intoxicated. It's Delusions of Automotive Grandeur. And oh God, I really think I'm drunk, but really I'm just trying to figure out what to say. But welcome to the show. We're back as a triumvirate. We've decided to all grace each other's presence. Look at Charlie, he's beaming. He's beaming. Yeah, welcome to the show. We're very organized for the show. We have an exact regimented thing we're going to talk about every 2.4 minutes. Or actually, other than that one thing I just told you all before we started, on just hanging out, man.
Just hanging out. Charlie muted himself. Oh no, he came back.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I had some yard work being done, and it's all gone now. So
I say let it roll.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't want to have your wonderful intro just rolled over by the blower sounds.
Worked hard on that intro.
I know, you killed it.
Scripted, very scripted. One take.
Great job.
They call me One Take Dill.
You don't want that
good or bad thing. I don't know. Anyway, so car stuff.
Yeah, you were telling us about.
I was.
These electric wheels. Please go on. Tell us some more about this.
There's there's been a fairly political hot potato thing going on about. Good God, my cat's going crazy in the background. It's a very professional show. In Lordstown, Ohio, it's been sort of a political hot potato being passed around. Like 1 minute, the factory is going to be a GM haven of electric cars. The next minute, GM's selling it. Some privateer company gets it, they sell it, they fall apart. There's like phantom wear. Will the car ever even be seen by anyone? And one of these is a truck called, I think it's called Lordstown. I'm gonna get this right so we can be highly professional. Yes, it's Lordstown Motors, and this model I believe is called the Endurance, unless I'm imagining that. And the interesting thing about it is it's got electric. It's an electric truck. And the electric motors are actually built into the wheels. So in essence, there are no drive shafts. There's no parasitic loss anywhere in a drivetrain. It's just literally the motor is in the wheel. And I just wanted to get y'all's thoughts about that. Can you think of any sort of, engineering that's may not be, what are your thoughts on that from an engineering point of view? I don't know.
Brent, do you want to go first?
I'm assuming there's no brakes. And it's just engine braking.
I mean, because you could run energy back into yes, there's, like recharging type braking, but you could actually actively put energy into those motors too and using them as brakes, with no friction surfaces, which would be kind of interesting too. Yeah.
It's an interesting idea.
I mean, it's very interesting. That's for sure. I don't know if, I would need to know more detail on what it kind of costs to replace
curb rash.
I mean, that's a lot, especially if somebody, say, ran over a curb and took off their wheel. That's their motor. So what are we looking at for cost wise? Is that going to
curb rash starts a brush fire?
Is that going to total out the car just because you lost the wheel?
I don't know.
Is
Let me
it
see if there's
part
any
of the wheel
specs.
itself?
If it is what I've seen on other stuff, it is not so much part of the wheel as it is part of the axle. Like
Like
at
on the
least
spill.
that's what I've seen other, not this one specifically, but it's like almost in between where like I think your standard like axle hub would be, and it's connected to the wheel that way. But I don't know. It's interesting. Um, I know there was an aftermarket company that was pursuing this with the at SEMA 19, where they were like, I think they showed like I want to say it was a Honda Civic Type R with these mounted not on the front but on the rear, in essence making the CTR a all-wheel drive vehicle, which that's an interesting idea, for especially like in turn, like not saying people have hit the limits on CTRs, because I know they're still getting faster every week, I'm sure. um, just like every other hot hatch, there's always somebody putting a bigger turbo on it, adding more fuel
Yeah.
to it. But it is interesting to think of these wheel mount power driven sources as alternatives for the not so distant future, I guess. I know there's also been a few options for like, um, what was it, like hybrid flywheel situations where like they basically
Oh, yeah.
mount between the engine and the gearbox, and it's a power adder without having to,
It could get you off the line or something, like the first 5 miles an hour leaving a light, if it spools up while you're doing 80 before or something, or while you're braking.
what the specific one I'm thinking of, it was for old air-cooled Porsches, which are notorious for being very expensive per horsepower added to that motor. So you could literally buy an old air-cooled and you can double its, add another 80 horsepower for a very expensive number. You don't want to ask about that, how expensive that is, but also it's still cheaper than adding more horsepower to air cool.
The
But it's all interesting.
yeah, Charlie, in this in the article that I was reading about it, they mentioned a couple other sort of engineering happy things, is what the engineers would call it. That the having the electric motors, even in a Tesla, they're fairly compact, obviously, but it frees up more space for batteries or internal storage in the car because you have less stuff. It's also a lower center of gravity they talk about, although of course we talked about the unsprung weight thing. But something occurred to me though, what I was sort of like waiting to relate those things, is that they're probably hub mounted. They're probably not really wheel mounted.
Not the wheel itself necessarily.
But maybe they are, because it would be less moving
No,
parts.
looking at the pictures, it's not. Wheels are mounted to it, like a standard 6-lug pattern overall.
That's what I was thinking is, they better have like good lug nuts, because people are going to be stealing the motors.
Well, yeah, I was going to say also think also of the amount of torque you have on hand with those electric motors. If it's even a good motor, it's going like you're going to want 6 big lug mounts to your wheels so you don't shear through everything.
Yeah.
But, yep. I don't know. It's definitely an interesting idea. Electric in general, I think, is absolutely fascinating. I don't know that it's the right fit for everybody, no matter what Elon and others say. I think there is, I'm definitely in the like diversify. Like a lot of power sources are good power sources, and
that's James May's approach. He is sort of one of everything. He's got like that Hyundai the hydrogen one, and a variety of things. What happens if you drive through, like, you're wading through water with your electric motors built into your wheels?
That is a question that I don't have the answer for you.
Be a lot of frogs being electrocuted and shot out of the water all around you.
Probably not. I would assume you would have to hope that if the engineers are worth their weight, they've potted all their motors in like an epoxy resin or something to keep them from shorting out.
Yeah.
Especially for them being that low too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm sure there's somebody out there getting paid lots of money to solve that problem just in case. But yeah, that would be a pretty comical whoops. I don't know.
Sorry, Charlie. I thought you had a little bit of clown makeup on your cheek. Okay, no, sorry. That's a joke for Brent. Anyway, yeah. So starting, I think, is it tomorrow? I'm pretty sure it's not next week. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. Formula One's supposed to start kicking up again. They're going to Austria for a couple weeks
Cool.
in their biological bubble or whatever they're calling it, to try to get some motor racing going. So I think that would be probably the first like proper World Series level racing to get back going. It's going to be empty stands.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's
They were
fine
empty
by
already.
me. I mean, it's not like you really saw anybody in the stands anyways.
I was thinking this. Yeah, it's same thing. I was like, yep. There's not really like,
$1,200 tickets.
I mean, people go, but it's, when you're watching on TV, it's 190 mile an hour cars going by and you're not really caring about the people in the background. So
Actually, wait, that wasn't an accurate, when I sort of pretended to watch a car go by, it wasn't an accurate hybrid era car noise. It would be like, Charlie, what would a V10 Formula One car going by sound like?
Angry. Just sounds angry.
Anyway, craziest sound I ever heard was at a race was it wasn't Martinsville. By the way, I went to fun fact. I went to the last carbureted, and I believe Martinsville is the oldest functioning NASCAR race at the moment.
Okay.
I went to the last carbureted race and the first fuel injected race. And in the stands, I could smell less unburnt gas. I kid you not. Like, it was amazing. Like, I think I forgot my actual point. I did.
You've been witness to the death of the carburetor and the birth of fuel injection.
Yes.
Hating yourself.
At NASCAR's oldest track. It was great. And there's totally a point to that story.
Nah.
But yeah, I'll just tell the audience that I have not had an alcoholic beverage, and I just slur the word alcoholic. I've not had an alcoholic beverage in 5 months. And even then I was a lightweight, Charlie. So I can't speak.
You went the other way with quarantine.
the other way.
Everyone else I knew like started drinking heavier.
Really?
Like that. Like it was there was definitely the first week it was two beers. Cool.
I let's just say I got off the wagon when it comes to Totino's pizza rolls. But yes, I timed it just right. Graphically I could stand up and show y'all the belly, but I won't. But it's let's just say that, I have to relate this to cars somehow. It's a little harder to get the lap belt in my Mustang on anymore. I'm off the wagon when it comes to pizza rolls, but not alcohol.
I would say before quarantine you were like a Gen 1 Ford Taurus, and then after quarantine you were like the kind of like rounder Ford Taurus.
No, I actually completely jumped the shark and I went to H2 Hummer.
Ooh.
From Taurus.
Ooh.
I crossed the streams, man. It was bad.
So you went from H3 Hummer down to H1 Hummer.
No, H2. See, I find the H2 to be, okay, let's have a topic. What do you find to be more bloated? The H2 Hummer or the H1? Now, the H1 had a purpose. Well, the H2 was like, let's take a Suburban and reskin it and make it this thing.
Well, hold on. Wasn't the H1 was built off the actual Humvee platform, but it was like they actually added like seat belts and the appropriate legal requirements to make it drivable stateside, right?
Yeah.
But it was still dog shit slow.
Yes.
And stupid wide. And stupid big.
and stupid big. Cool. Okay, glad we're on that page. So the H2 was the one that was on the Suburban platform, correct?
Well, I mean, Suburban platform is just a frame, but
Right. Yeah, it's a body on
but
rail.
essentially, it was just, to me, it just looked like some sort of bloated cartoon Michael Bay version of an H1. Like,
Somebody, people bought them. It's better than
Yeah,
the
it's a
H3.
it's a suburban version.
Yeah, it's gonna say it's a suburban Humvee. What do you want? Makes perfect sense. It's still better than the H3 and the what was it the H3 truck? Was it?
Well, I liked the
The
H3 truck,
H3T or
but I'm
whatever.
crazy.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, H3.
because when you introduce the truck bed, Charlie, it's back to having a purpose again. Yeah, a little baby purpose, but a purpose.
It
No.
never had a purpose because it was always going to be just a mall crawler. Just like every little I feel like the Gladiator falls into that as well. It's like it's a great idea, but it's gonna end up being a mall crawler. Sorry.
Charlie, none of the whatever the generation of current people is called knows what a mall is. You may have to translate. It's like Amazon, but a store.
Yeah, the Zoomers have to know that that a mall is somewhere one used to be able to autocross.
Wow. Did you see what I did there, Brent?
Wait.
I did that with my beer. It made him freeze for 5
there we
seconds.
are. I was gonna say, like,
Broke it.
what happened?
How did you break it?
I thought maybe he just like froze in place.
And then it's bad. I looked at my connection and it was suddenly like, oh, like, did my connection drop? And I was just about to be real sad.
I've come to a conclusion about Greek yogurt. You know, it's like a step up from there's a we're getting there. You know, like there's regular yogurt and then there's Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is pinky out yogurt.
What?
It's fancy yogurt. It's like regular yogurt wasn't good enough. Let's go Greek with it. And then
Regular yogurt is kind of trash compared to Greek yogurt, though.
actually, I got to tell you, I kind of fell for Greek too.
The texture is better. Always. Always.
Oh, man.
Come out with all the hot takes.
So is it true that they made a? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brent. Oh, you're in. So Charlie, is it true that they made a? You know, like the 2009 era on Jetta sports wagon, but with a GTI powertrain?
Did they ever make a 2009 Jetta Sport Wagon, but with the GTI?
And not necessarily that year, but just that design language.
So the Jetta Sport Wagon 2009 was a 1 year model shape and design. So the 2009 was actually the last of the Mark V front ends and headlights and everything. And then in 2010, the Sport Wagon went to the more up to date,
the less chrome,
the Mark VI less chrome. Yeah,
but like the okay, well, I guess I didn't know that, but like I thought it was like, you know, the sort of unibody structure, the 6-year life of that general look of that car.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I was talking to GTI Ben Kenobi, and he mentioned that there may have been like a GLI variant or something at some point.
So they all had the 2.0 engine, if I remember correct. And I could certainly be wrong about this. You could get the Sport Wagon with the 2.0 turbo, but it was detuned and all turbo, similar to what they already do or currently do for the more modern platform as well, where it's a 2.0. Yes, it's a 2.0 turbo, same block as a GTI, but it's the itty bitty, turbo you can like basically hold like that.
A little cute baby turbo.
Yeah, a little baby turbo. I mean, like the GTI turbo is only, if this is the Golf turbo, the GTI turbo is only that. So, and the Golf R1 is the same size, and they just do a little porting and making it the impeller a little bigger.
I mean, like, is that like the turbos? Is that their own opinion of how Or is that like, do I have other people? Sorry, I was trying to make a lewd joke about overestimating one's turbo size. Another thing that the viewers may not actually know is that, Charlie, what does GTI stand for again?
Get that intercooler.
Get that intercooler. That's right. Brent agrees.
I mean, it's hot
I
out,
have one.
heat soaked as hell. You're gonna want that intercooler.
Got to get that intercooler.
Got to get that intercooler.
Brent, what cars have you seen at your gas station lately?
There was a Lamborghini Huracan this morning.
Nice.
Most of us see that at gas stations. That's not very exceptional, Brent. What else you got?
I feel like, Brent, we just need
Let's
a webcam
see.
that is always on that gas
Yes.
station.
Well, let me see what's there right now.
It's yes, that would be great. It's like that 11-foot bridge, Charlie. You know,
Yeah,
that guy
oh,
always
yeah.
had the webcam on it. Yeah.
You know, so I have seen that bridge in Durham, because it is not far from Helen's work down there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nothing good.
Nothing
Nothing
good.
good. Oh, bum.
Nope. Just a gold minivan.
That's
about it.
Maybe Elon would be out there with the Cybertruck.
No, the
No.
Cybertruck's down at the Peterson right now, so
Oh, is that
he's
what it
not
is?
driving it.
So it's
What
around
a
the
gold leaf minivan.
Let's see. Last week there was Lamborghini Aventador SVJ, 488 Special.
I wouldn't know there's a pandemic going on. Just all these. You have essentially what is better than a Cars and Coffee in Charlottesville, like in 6 months, and it's just across the street at a gas station.
Pretty much. I mean, the times that I see like the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis, they're all driving together. They're all going on a cruise or whatever. So I know the other day there was probably about 30 motorcycles out there. I don't understand why they all show up at that gas station, because it's like 80 cents overpriced compared to the rest of the city.
Does it have a lot of room maybe for?
You got the Shepherd Ferry in the background. It makes for good Insta photos, man.
I love
Well, you see when you're down there though, like you can't get a good picture unless you go into the parking lot next to the gas station, in which that's a pay only parking lot. So it's not anything really to do with that. They're just a bunch of them are getting gas at the time. So it's like I don't know. You can go 2 blocks down the road basically and get gas for 80 cents cheaper or whatever. So
I just love the fact that you have this like gaggle, which I think is the technical term of Aventadors and Ferraris and things, and they're in LA and they're going for a drive together, right?
Pack of supercars is called a gaggle. That is
it's a gaggle, or it's a murder of crows. But and
we've got
for the
ravens
next
here.
What did you say?
We've got ravens here.
the proper.
And the heart or the raven cried evermore.
Yes.
Wow, we went literature. Anyway, beer. So like these people are in these fancy cars. They're obviously going to go for, they're like, let's hang out together, guys. We're in LA. So like 45 minutes, they're going to be bumper to bumper on the interstate. And then they're going to get to the curvy roads, like, are they really, I mean, can you imagine being in like a Honda Civic and be like, really guys, like you're in an Aventador doing one,
I mean, right now, I'm
at least they're in an Aventador. I mean,
good point. Very good point.
Well, I sent you guys the picture the other day when I was coming back from a grocery store where, I believe they were probably getting food or whatnot, but there was the Aventador, and then behind it was the GT3 RS. I'm like, man, thinking about it, for one Aventador, you could actually get 2 GT3 RSs.
They'd have the same number of cylinders, right?
But how many Camrys could you buy?
I would rather have the GT3 RS compared to the Aventador. Truthfully,
I don't like Lamborghinis. Lamborghinis to me, I've said this to y'all before. Like, I'm not into modern Lamborghinis. It's like give me Miura or give me Yugo. Like I just like. It's as if since 1980 or 1974 or whatever, when the Countach came out, that they have not tried a different design language. We talked about this before. Like the Miura had straight lines, yes, but it had some grace to it. It was like there was an element of it, instead of just being like an in-your-face 80s white suit, with the collar up and a pink shirt, straight up greased hair on some dude, flashy, look at me, it's Miami Vice or something, even though they used Ferraris. That was a great metaphor. What happened to Lamborghini's ability to design a beautiful car? They've not even tried.
Well,
Yeah, but
so-
at least they have a design element.
yeah,
but
I was going to say, so
boring.
well, think about
Okay, so it's boring, but think about the 911
yeah,
and that silhouette that's been the exact
yeah.
same since the 60s.
So,
Do you mean the
so
997, the 996, the 991, or the 9432742?
993. Don't mess that up.
8675309.
You got her number. But yeah, I'd say if anything, I think Lamborghini has. I can hear both sides here. I think what Steven you're referring to is like the old Bertone, smoother, like thinking of like you specifically called out the Mira, and yes, I would say the Countach has definitely been like their halo of design, and everything since then has kind of tried to emulate that. I think that is probably, I think Brent, you point out correctly that there is something to be said about they take the design elements and language that they've built on, and I think they have a pretty good understanding of that.
I mean, when you maybe not when you hear it, but when you see it on the road, it's a Lamborghini.
Yeah, especially since they're in the we will build V12s forever, and I mean,
and it's the same with the 911, where
it's always going to be
I would say half the time when you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, that's a 911.
Yeah.
But when you see it, it's like, yep,
911. I mean, anyone who doesn't know cars is going to be like, it's a Porsche.
And no matter what, whether it's a 1970s or a 2020, that's a Porsche.
Exactly.
And that's a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Whereas to me, Ferrari, yes, they're designed from the 458 to the 488. That's been pretty similar, but at the same time, changes to it.
I should clarify, like, I'm not saying abandon the design language, guys. I'm saying, like, blow everyone's mind. And the next time you introduce the Huracan replacement, okay, try something different. Or did they already replace that? Sorry, I don't really know the models. It went Gallardo, then Huracan, right?
The Huracan now is a dated, it's what?
It's a dated item. And then they've got the Huracan Evo now.
Yeah.
And the Urine SUV.
Is basic. The Urus?
And that's Urine.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, just saying, just grab a model, any model, make a new model, make a budget Lamborghini or something, and just say, look, we're going to try something different.
A budget Lamborghini. I'd love to see that one day.
Okay, I have a recommendation for you guys.
Say that. That's a budget Lamborghini, right?
It's a budget Lamborghini. They're going to call it the Steven, because I'm a raging bull.
Well, I think the budget Lamborghini would be an Audi.
Yeah.
And then a budget Audi would be a VW.
Which means you have a Lamborghini.
And a budget Volkswagen is a Skoda.
But yet everything that is owned all together, guess what? Comes down to VW. So
yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, you're driving a VW.
Speaking of Volkswagen, Audi, the big conglomerate here. I was looking up the Huracan just the other day, and I noticed it had the what was it, the 6.4 liter V12 or whatever, and I was like, wait, 6.4, that sounds awful familiar. Why does that? And I realized, like, oh, that's doubling a 3.2 liter V6. Why is that? Oh, a 3.2 V6 is what Volkswagen and Audi love to use.
That would make sense.
But it's not the same necessarily. Like the V angle is different. Like the VR6 is a narrow angle, like 15 degrees, whereas a true V is a 60 degree.
Whoa, you used engineer language just then. I understood that. Brent didn't.
Yeah.
I would never understand.
That's okay. But yeah, it was a funny moment of like, wait, why is that number significant to me? Oh, because if you double the cylinder count, it's very close. But yeah, I think both Porsche and Lamborghini have a very good understanding of what they critically want to have in their halo vehicles.
I dare them to use a curve. I dare them.
I
By the way, I
mean,
love the Sesto Elemento. That's my favorite Lamborghini, probably
ooh, that was
almost more than the Miura.
was that the cover? I think that was a cover car for Horizon at one point.
It was a
Horizon?
one-off, and they did it. I think they did it like 5 years ago or something. And it was like everything was carbon. I think it had carbon wheels back before they were affordable.
Yeah,
And
that would have been the cover car for Horizon, whatever that was.
okay.
A couple years ago.
Yeah, I remember.
Internet recommendation for the both of you. It's a YouTube channel. It's called Tyrrell's Classic Workshop. And it is a guy in, I guess I can't show it because that'd be against the rules probably, but it's Tyrrell for everyone who's listening or watching. I guess we're doing watching now. Oh God, they can see me. And this show is really great. It's like a super duper duper. I could say duper for like half an hour, high end mechanic shop in England. And this guy Tyrrell, I mean, his first video, I guess they got big on is he was tuning like all it's either 6 or 12, I can't remember how many carburetors in a vintage Lamborghini. He was doing it on like a SEMA floor or some car show floor, and it's an art to tune those things, you know. And one of his other videos he has is that he someone in like South Africa or something, I think on a vineyard, had like an Aston Martin or something, and they needed to get the carburetors tuned. So this guy's job was to be paid to fly to South Africa to tune a car, drive this vintage Aston Martin, and then fly home.
Yep.
Tough job, right? But his actual shop would blow your mind. I mean, he's got, he's the guy that someone recently found a yellow Miura that was considered one of the most originals. It was a barn find. They paid like 1.25 million pounds for it. And he's the guy you go to with that. You don't go to someone else. You go to this guy. And there you go. And they rebuild Lambo engines from scratch. They know them amazingly well. And the cool part is see that left video there, the Yarma or whatever, that's a model I didn't even know it existed. It's a 2+2 with back seats and everything. It's from the early 70s. There's a lot of really interesting, like, you know, obscure to idiots like me that don't really know the brand that well, early Lamborghinis. And it was just a really well produced. There's the Aston Martin video. It's on the left, 2 down from the top. That's the one where someone flew him down to at Icon at Franken Rucker. That's that video where he was flown to do that. And there's the video where he's tuning the Miura at the bottom. But regardless, this channel, at least for the two of you guys, you know, start with that yellow Miura one when you get a chance and just watch it. You'll get hooked. I mean, it's just, this guy's got the good stuff.
It's like, if it's anything, for whatever reason, I immediately think of Papadakis, where he did a full engine teardown of like the new Supra when it came out, and was like, we're gonna boost this thing up to 1,000 horsepower and turn it into a reliable drift build. And like that was in that same line of like super nerdy, super technical.
Yeah,
like he went and like had a new intake manifold 3D printed, and that was fascinating to watch. So I would also say go check that out.
Yeah, and definitely when you're watching this Tyrrell's Classic Workshop channel, note the shop itself. It's pretty bloody nice, man. The floors are like squeaky clean, and
yeah,
it's really cool. I definitely one of the last thing, and then I'll shut up about that channel, is that and one of the more recent ones, I think they were taking a V12. I think it might have been in a Miura, I can't remember, or one of the other sister models, and they were installing it. And the crazy, actually, it was definitely not a mirror because it was front engine. Was it front engine? Crap, I don't know. And when they were fitting it in, they had to have the transmission already attached, and they couldn't take the gear lever off. Somehow, the way Lamborghini designed it, you couldn't take the gear lever off. So imagine the delicate operation of getting a V12 with a transmission. You know, you're on an engine crane trying to get it down in there, and you have that little fragile thing sticking up, and you're like, good God, please don't break this off and have to rebuild the transmission. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, all I've been watching is Chicago Auto Pros today.
What do they do?
Well, they are interesting. Auto detailing in Chicago area. They've got 3 detail shops, and they're I would say they aren't to the level of Ammo NYC is, where, you know, he's so far into detail on each episode, but these guys actually have a few videos out as far as like getting started with, you know, buffing out a car and stuff on that order, coatings, stuff on that. And then there was one video as far as like starting up a shop itself, in which that's kind of what I've been thinking of in the next couple of years, is maybe starting up my own shop and transition from working for the man and working for myself instead.
So much for getting you to go in on a lift in my garage. You're gonna have your own lift note.
I have my own lift, own garage.
You're gonna start with the
shop.
lift note though, and then you'll have a lift.
Own shop rules.
Shop rules. Put all tools away at the end of the day.
Yep. God, it's so satisfying to do that. Now that I have a garage, it's crazy. I can't wait to do that one of these days. Go ahead.
And now you can't yell at anybody else other than yourself for losing something.
Oh, and
that is a real problem I have now that I have since having a garage at the current spot. It's definitely like, oh man, I put it in the garage. It's kind of my fault that I didn't put it away. Like,
or you lost that 10 mil.
I have all my 10 mils accounted for. Thank you. I actually have them nice and organized, and have like at least 5 10 mils.
Charlie, when we were doing your brakes, didn't we have like an 18 and a 20 millimeter socket, but you needed a 19 and we had to go buy like one socket? Or is that like every project I've ever done? I'm just crossing my memories.
That sounds like the struts on the Volvo, I think.
Yeah, there was something like that where you were like, great, that's the one size I don't have. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it was like a deep well 19 or something like that, or something that seemingly was obscure and was one of many flags to stop what I was doing and take it to the shop. And fun fact, old Volvos just have big truck springs, and you can't use a rental spring compressor to get them down enough.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Was that your GTI that you were compressing springs, or was it the Volvo at that time?
It was a Volvo.
I just remember being terrified. You had to do it twice or something, and you were like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die.
The GTI, you can like, apparently you barely need a spring compressor to do the shocks on. Okay. Like, they're like, oh yeah, it compresses like maybe like an inch or more or so, which like is grand scheme of things, nothing. Whereas the Volvo, like, I probably could have done it if I had 2 pairs or 2 pairs of spring compressors, but it gets really sketchy really quick. Hard.
Brent, what is the top secret way we're supposed to say this episode's probably long enough? We should probably wrap it up now. Do we have some signal? Oh, is it that? Look what he did with his mouth, Charlie.
I have
when
no
Brent
idea.
Goes,
Do we? I
know,
mean, to me, I don't
this?
think there should be any rules, as long as we want.
I mean, if you wanna pin it here, like, let's.
I would say
no, it's fine.
Yeah, let's pin it here.
We could do a 24-hour challenge, y'all.
Brent,
endurance vodcasting.
I wanted to say this would be a good point to bring out. You talk about starting up a detail shop. Obviously, we all know people who are in that line of work that probably would be more than happy to talk about it.
Yes.
Maybe in a not so distant episode, we can have someone come in and talk about their experience.
Probably maybe 4 episodes, we can get them in.
We'll figure that out.
Ask them what their background is and how they started and so on. So that'd be something really to look forward to, especially for at least local guys in Charlottesville that are looking to get their little baby detailed and whatnot too. So
I should mess with him and bring the Mustang and say, can you buff this paint out, cut out some of the orange peel?
He would not come back on a show. So
he'll just call me and ask what paint stripper to use on your car.
I'd be cool with that.
All right, let's wrap it up here. Thanks for joining in again. And if you guys liked it, obviously subscribe, share it around to your friends, and let them know about Steven being an alcoholic on air, and Charlie having pest control over at his house. So, that's how we go. So have a good one.
Did I ever tell you guys about the time I had the Dacia Sandero and I did a J-turn and it really impressed this Italian model?
If you enjoyed DAG Show, please like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. We are also available on iTunes and Spotify by searching for Delusions of Automotive Grandeur. Thanks again for tuning in, and as always, may the grandeur of your automobiles be delusional